Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast, everyone. I'm Michael Reynolds, and with me today is Laura Wilson.
Hi, everyone.
We're diving into a question I bet a lot of you out there have thought about. Do VPNs always slow down your internet speed?
It's a question we get all the time, and it's really not a simple yes or no.
Okay, so first, for anyone who maybe needs a refresher, a VPN, or virtual private network, it creates a secure connection by doing two main things. It encrypts your internet traffic, kind of like putting it in the secret code, and routes that traffic through a server in a different location, which masks your real IP address.
But all those extra steps, do they always mean, inevitably mean, a slower internet experience?
Well, think of it like this. You're sending a package. If you just slap an address on it and send it off, it's fast. Anyone can see what's inside. But a VPN, it's like putting that package in a secure box, then sending it through a private courier service, so it's safer. But those extra steps can take a bit more time.
So the encryption process itself, turning our data into that secret code, that can cause a bit of a delay. Exactly. It's adding an extra step in the journey your data takes to get to its destination. And that delay can be more pronounced, depending on the distance. Your data has to travel. Imagine sending that package across town versus across the world. The further it goes, the longer it's going to take. It's the same with VPNs. The distance between you and the VPN server you choose can significantly impact your speed.
So choosing a server that's closer to you can help minimize that lag.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest factors that you have control over. But it's not just about distance, the quality of the VPN service itself. The courier, in our analogy, also plays a huge role. Free VPNs might seem appealing, but they often have fewer servers and more users sharing those limited resources.
So it's like trying to squeeze through a crowded intersection.
Yeah.
During rush hour.
Exactly. It's going to slow things down. Premium VPN services, on the other hand, they invest in high-speed servers and manage their network traffic more efficiently. So it's like cruising down a wide-open highway.
Makes sense. So we've got the distance to the server. We've got the quality of the service itself. What other factors come into play? I feel like there's a whole checklist here.
You're right. There are a few more things to consider. First off, your own internet speed is the foundation. If you already have a blazing fast connection, a little slowdown from the VPN might not even be noticeable. But if you're starting with a slower connection, any additional lag will be more apparent.
So it's like if you're already in a race car, a small speed bump won't slow you down much. But if you're on a bicycle, that same bump will feel a lot bigger.
Perfect analogy. Another important factor is the level of encryption you choose. Higher encryption means better security, but it can also mean a slightly slower connection. Some VPNs let you customize this, so you can choose the right balance between security and speed for your needs.
So it's a trade-off to consider. And then there's this thing called the VPN protocol. Now that sounds kind of technical, but it basically refers to the method your device uses to connect to the VPN server.
Right. Think of it like the language your device speaks to the VPN server. Some languages, or protocols, are more efficient than others. For example, WireGuard is known for being faster than OpenVPN. Though OpenVPN is generally considered more secure, again, it's about finding the right balance for your needs.
Okay, so we've got the distance to the server, the quality of the VPN service, our baseline internet speed, the level of encryption, and the protocol we're using. Anything else I need to add to my mental checklist?
One more important factor, and this is one we can all relate to, the time of day. Just like with regular internet traffic, peak hours can mean more congestion, even on VPN servers if everyone's trying to stream movies. Or download files at the same time, it's going to slow things down for everyone.
So it's like rush hour for the internet, even with a VPN.
Exactly. It's something to keep in mind, especially if you're trying to do something that requires a lot of bandwidth, like streaming or video conferencing.
Wow, this is way more nuanced than I ever realized. I'm starting to feel like I need a degree in network engineering just to choose the right VPN settings.
Don't worry, you don't need a degree. It might seem overwhelming at first, but the good news is there are a lot of simple things you can do to optimize your VPN experience for speed.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's hear those tips.
First things first, let's talk about your home network. It's like having a well-organized kitchen. If everything's in its place and running smoothly, things go much faster. One of the easiest things you can do is check for any background processes on your devices that might be hogging bandwidth. Things like streaming services, downloads, even software updates. They can eat up your connection speed without you even realizing it.
So close anything you don't absolutely need while using the VPN. Got it.
Yeah.
What else can we do to optimize things on our end?
Sometimes it's not about what's running, but the device itself. An older computer or phone might struggle to keep up with the demands of encryption and fast data transfer. It's like trying to run the latest video game on a 10-year-old computer. It's just not going to be a smooth experience.
So if you're serious about VPN speed, it might be time to consider upgrading your devices. Makes sense. Anything else we can do on the hardware front?
This one might seem obvious, but it's worth repeating. A wired connection is almost always going to be more stable and faster than Wi-Fi. If speed is your top priority, consider plugging directly into your router with an Ethernet cable.
Ah, yes, the good old Ethernet cable. Sometimes the classics are the best. But let's be realistic. A lot of us rely on Wi-Fi these days. Any tips for maximizing speed on the wireless front?
Absolutely. If your router supports it, try switching to the 5 gigahertz band. It's usually less crowded than the 2.4 gigahertz band, which means less interference and potentially faster speeds. It's like having your own dedicated lane on the internet highway.
Okay, I'm liking these analogies. So we've optimized our devices. We're on the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi Express lane, but things are still sluggish. What else could be going on?
Well, if you've done everything right on your end, the culprit might be your internet service provider, or ISP.
Wait, hold on. Throttle. Like they're deliberately slowing us down. Why would they do that?
It's a bit frustrating, I know. But some ISPs do this to manage network congestion, or in some cases, to prioritize certain types of traffic over others. They might throttle bandwidth-heavy activities like streaming or gaming, especially during peak hours.
So it's like they're playing favorites with our data.
You could say that, but here's where it gets interesting. A VPN can actually help bypass this throttling in some cases because your traffic is encrypted and your IP address is masked. The ISP can't see what you're doing and might not throttle your connection.
So using a VPN could actually make my internet faster. That's a plot twist I wasn't expecting.
It's true. It's not always the case, but it's definitely possible. And there's another way a VPN can potentially boost your speed. Some VPN providers have what are called peering agreements with internet providers.
Peering agreements. Now that sounds like something out of a spy movie.
Not quite. It basically means the VPN provider has a direct connection to the ISP's network. So instead of your data taking a long, winding detour through the internet, it can take a more direct route, like an express lane on the information superhighway.
Okay, so we've learned that VPNs don't always slow down internet speed. They can sometimes make things faster. But what about those new alternatives to traditional VPNs we hear about? Things like ZTNA and SD-WAN. Those acronyms are a mouthful.
They are a bit of a mouthful, but they represent some really interesting developments in network security and speed. ZTNA stands for Zero Trust Network Access, and it's becoming increasingly popular in corporate settings. Instead of granting access to an entire network, ZTNA focuses on verifying each individual user and device before granting access to specific applications or resources.
So it's like having a much more granular level of control over who can access what.
Exactly. And because it's so focused and secure, it can often result in faster connections, especially for businesses. SD-WAN, or software-defined wide area network, is another technology that's changing the game. It's basically a way to manage network traffic more efficiently and intelligently, often using multiple connections at once to optimize speed and reliability.
So instead of relying on a single potentially congested connection, SD-WAN can spread the load across multiple pathways.
That's the idea. And by intelligently routing traffic, SD-WAN can often avoid bottlenecks and provide a smoother, faster experience.
So with ZTNA and SD-WAN emerging, is this the beginning of the end for traditional VPNs?
It's hard to say for sure. Traditional VPNs still have a lot to offer, especially for individuals who are primarily concerned with privacy and security while browsing the web or accessing geo-restricted content. But for businesses and organizations with more complex needs, ZTNA and SD-WAN are definitely worth exploring.
Okay, so the world of secure internet access is evolving rapidly. It's fascinating stuff. But I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all this information. What's the main takeaway for our listeners who are just trying to figure out if a VPN is right for them?
I think the most important takeaway is that VPNs aren't some monolithic entity that always slows down your internet. It's much more nuanced than that. There are so many factors at play, from the distance to the server, to the quality of the service itself, and even the time of day you're using it.
So doing your research and choosing a reputable VPN provider that meets your specific needs is key.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to experiment with different settings, like server locations, encryption levels, and protocols to find what works best for you. The good news is most reputable VPN providers have excellent customer support that can help you troubleshoot any issues and optimize your experience.
That's reassuring to know. So the bottom line is, A VPN is a powerful tool for online privacy and security, and it doesn't have to come at a cost of a slow internet connection.
And as we've discussed, you might even see some speed improvements in certain scenarios. It's all about understanding the variables and making informed choices.
Right. And hey, if you have any tips or tricks for optimizing VPN speed, we'd love to hear them. Share your wisdom in the comments. Maybe you've discovered some secret setting or server location that gives you like lightning fast connection.
We're all learning from each other in this ever-evolving world of tech. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let me leave you with something to ponder. We've talked about those alternative solutions to traditional VPNs, like ZTNA and SD-WAN. Could those represent the future of secure high-speed internet access?
Or will traditional VPNs continue to evolve and adapt to meet the growing demands for speed and security? It's a fascinating question to consider as technology keeps pushing forward.
It really is, and it's something I'll continue to explore here at AnzenGuard.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into VPN speed. Hopefully you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to make informed decisions about your online security. I'm Michael Reynolds.
And I'm Laura Wilson.
And you've been listening to the AnzenGuard podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review. It really helps us reach more people and spread word about online security. And as always, stay safe and secure out there in the digital world.